Hey guys, welcome to the first community spotlight of the Open Web Foundry. This is one of my favorite sessions for the entire program because I think it gives a really good overview of some of the most important projects in the ArDrive ecosystem. And it also allows you to engage with the OWF alumni who are also in the same shoes as you guys at one point. So we've got a star-studded lineup of projects. And after the presentations, we'll also have a mingle session in the table area, so don't go anywhere. And on another note, we'll be having these community spotlight sessions every Friday until the end of the program. However, the presenters in the next sessions will be within the current cohort of the Open Web Foundry. So if you're in this current Open Web Foundry 7 and you want to present your project, do a quick 5-minute presentation to the ArDrive community, please email me at jesse@arweave.org. But for now, we're going to have alumni as well as just some really important ArDrive ecosystem projects. And we're actually going to get started with Josh, who's the founder of Bundler Network. And that's actually currently being used for over 90% of uploads to ArDrive. So really, really important infrastructure tool. So Josh, go ahead.
Awesome. Can everyone hear and see me?
Yeah, looks good.
Love it. I guess I'll just share my screen. Cool. Let me know if you can see the presentation.
Yeah, looks good.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So just for anyone who doesn't know, I'm founder of Bundler. Bundling kind of the one-line pitch is we're working to make ArDrive as fast as AWS while remaining decentralized. This is kind of the crux of what we do. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm just going to share some stuff about Bundler. So this is the actual pitch we kind of give. What if Web3 storage is as fast and as easy as it is in Web 2? So just like you can go to Dropbox and drop a file in, it's instantly available and instantly retrievable. How would you be able to replicate that in the Web3 world? So a year ago, Web3 storage was, well, it was slow in the sense that you obviously have to deal with the issues of a blockchain, which is, I say the issues, the difference in user experience of a blockchain, which is confirmation time and general delays for waiting for stuff to happen, which to an end user who is non-technical would kind of seem annoying because they don't understand the idea of, and then nor do we expect them to understand the concept of confirmations and blockchain. So this is kind of the crux of what we do. Not to pitch ArDrive to everyone, because I suspect everyone here knows about ArDrive, but obviously ArDrive is this permanent storage blockchain which stores your data for 200 plus years. So via an endowment, you can incentivize miners to store your data for essentially forever until the next generation storage system comes along and powers the next generation. And of course, it's fully decentralized. And actually, I say this to a lot of people. ArDrive as a blockchain is a lot more decentralized than, at least I think, is a lot more decentralized than a lot of other blockchains, even Bitcoin, because there actually are thousands of or at least hundreds of fairly independent miners, opposed to things like Bitcoin where there's massive pools. But yeah, so obviously ArDrive is very decentralized, and it's obviously totally secure and totally open as well. I think that's something missing here, is it's totally open, so anyone can view the data, and it's totally censorship resistant. So no one can play with the data. If you upload your data, anyone can access it, and of course, no one can take it down. So it's removing the control that these centralized entities like AWS have. So, but I probably don't need to repeat all of this, but just kind of reiterating ArDrive's use. So at the moment, or at least a year ago, people use ArDrive just like this. So an end user would post a transaction to ArDrive, and after about 5 minutes, your data would have its first your transaction would be confirmed, and then your data would be fully seeded within about 30 to 60 minutes. And this is how people have done it for obviously years, and it was fine. However, around just probably less than a year ago, maybe 6 to 8 months ago, ArDrive block space started to run out, which is actually a fairly common thing in all blockchains. It's what every blockchain hits when it scales. So when it becomes heavily used, right? So I'd almost say it's a sign of growth. So back in April time, I started building Bundler to solve this problem. So in case anyone doesn't know, I've kind of told the story a few times, but Bundler actually started with a call with Sam, Sam as in Sam, the founder ArDrive, and he actually shared this problem of kind of future block space issues. So bundler and the bundle spec as well, which is how you scale block space on ArDrive, is actually where it all started back in April. So that's kind of the old user experience, and then with bundler, this is kind of what happens when you put bundler in the mix. So we make ArDrive fast, easy, and reliable. So what that means is that I/O is pretty much instant. So writing data is instant, reading data is instant, and it's as easy to use as AWS. I keep on going back to that because it's really what we aim for. We aim for that kind of perfect user experience. And obviously, something underrated about something like AWS is its reliability, and that's something that a lot of blockchains don't provide. At least in the Web3 world, it's kind of, you have to deal with confirmations and transactions dropping. It's just a function of the blockchain technology. So this is what bundler tries to abstract from the user and the developer as well. So instead of going all the way direct to ArDrive, you'd go through bundler, which would then upload to ArDrive. So you'd post a transaction to a bundle on the network, and then every 2 to 5 minutes, your transaction will be posted to ArDrive along with lots of other people's transactions, and your data will also be instantly available from the time that you post it. So from a user and developer experience, user and developer standpoint, your data is instantly accessible, and then in the background, your data will be on ArDrive within, well, fully confirmed and seeded within 20 to 60 minutes. That's kind of the that how bundler works at a super high level. I won't be going too low level into how bundler works here, but I'm happy to afterwards go a bit deeper if you want to learn more. Or of course, there are docs you can read as well. So yeah. So what is bundler? Just to reiterate, so bundler simply working to make ArDrive fast, easy, and reliable as traditional kind of Web 2 data storage, while maintaining the Web 3 power of censorship resistant data. So this is kind of the main thing, and just some minor stats, although I think they also appear on the next slide. But we're now responsible for around greater than 90% of data uploads. We've just passed 200 million transactions of maybe a month ago. I think we're at around 225, 230 now. So 450% increase in transaction volume and data volume. I mean, back when we started, data volume was maybe, I don't know, 25 terabytes. I might be wrong here. Now it's 60, 70 or more. It's growing loads, which is really cool to see. It's really cool to see the growth from obviously the data standpoint, but also the community standpoint. This is actually, yeah, so we're now a team of 8. So if you include myself as a developer, we've now got 6 developers on the team. In fact, that's actually true. I do spend more than 50% of my time coding still, which is pretty cool. As a founder, I think a lot of founders kind of get distracted away. So that's pretty cool. And obviously the big news from a week or two ago was the seed round we just did. So we just raised 5.2 million, which will be going towards developing bundler and making ArDrive huge. This is kind of what everyone wants here. So a key thing that we focus on is L1 and L2 compatibility. So bundler's kind of big selling point as well is that you can sign and pay for transactions in any crypto. So a good example that I love to give is Metaplex, because it's a really good demonstration of a good user experience. You have your Solana key. You can sign all your transactions and pay for everything in Solana with your one key, and you don't have to worry about having an ArDrive private key. So it provides this perfect user experience where you can store stuff on ArDrive and also mint an NFT on Solana, all with one private key. So from user and developer experience standpoint, it's really lowers the barrier for entry. So these are all chains and L2s that we're integrated with. We're now integrated with, including the PRs that exist right now. We're integrated with 20 plus different cryptos right now, which is pretty cool. We're pretty close to integrating with the Cosmos ecosystem. So we'll have, I think the first one we're going for is, well, maybe I shouldn't share this, but Kive is one we're going for soon, and then we'll be integrating other ones as well. So again, all we're trying to do, I say all, is essentially improving the user and developer experience on the PermaWeb. That is the main thing. So our metric is the way we measure things is the success of the PermaWeb as a whole. So developers building on the PermaWeb and number of dApps on the PermaWeb, etc. So this is kind of what we look at. Some things we do at the moment. So along with Arweave supporting us with this, we provide free transactions under 100 kilobytes. So this is actually really cool because if you built something like a decentralized Twitter, if you think about it, tweets are maybe, I don't know, 100 bytes, maybe. I don't know, right? 100 to 500 bytes. And you could have all of those free. If you built a decentralized Twitter, you could have all of these free transactions, which means users don't need to worry about paying for all these tweets. So I think that's really cool. I haven't really seen many people build this end to end yet. So I'm looking for someone to do that if they want to. We increase uploads by 3,000% because you don't have to wait for confirmation. As soon as you post your transaction, your data is finalized essentially, because there's a guarantee that your data gets on chain. We have a super easy to use JS client. We also have a third party, Everfinance created the Go version of it, and we're currently building, we built a Rust version of it as well. So the client's pretty easy to use, integrate into both server side and client side. So yeah, and then there's this concept of guaranteed data seeding. So again, it just ties into reliability. You can be assured that your data gets on chain correctly and your transaction confirms correctly as well. This is the guarantee provided by Bundler, and this is what allows you to abstract, or allows us to abstract from the idea of confirmation, this kind of Web3 concept. So just a quick summary of our journey thus far. Josh is cool with Sam at the start, and up to where we are now. So we launched in kind of July, August time. Sam will remember this very, very well. And then we integrated with Metaplex as one of our first users. We got to 100 million transactions by the end of the year. And we've just recently started working on, we just finished obviously working on the archiver stuff. So we've put a lot of focus into archiving Russia, Ukraine, and now also Shanghai. And we've just done our seed series round, and we've just recently hit 200 million transactions. So what are we going to be moving on to? So in the next 2 months, I'm pretty sure we'll have some form of testnet release. We'll start with a kind of close sum of people within the ecosystem first, and then we'll expand to basically everyone, so anyone can run infrastructure in the testnet. So that's pretty cool. I'm actually super excited for that one. So look out for that. Another one, which so Arweave and Bundler are both working on a product. I'm not sure how much I'm willing to share. I feel like Sam is willing to share more than I am, but we're working on something around archiving and building a bigger kind of product around archiving, which will be released really soon. I'm hoping in the next month or so as well. So look out for that. That's something we've been working really hard on. Tying into the kind of the network plan, we'll also after the testnet have the incentivized testnet, and then mainnet launch, which we have no timeline for yet. So along with that, we have a continuous improvement around bundle technology as well. So we'll be continuously increasing bundle size over time. So the more we increase bundle size, the more we can scale the number of transactions Bundler can process per second. This is essentially the core of it. So we'll be improving that week on week, really. So that's pretty cool. And then also the big UX is improving node funding time. So how quickly can you move funds to Bundler? That's something that's pretty important to us. So those are some kind of features coming up, some improvements, and some stuff that you guys can look out for. Just finally, we have office hours every Tuesday now at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I'm pretty much in all of them now. So if you have any questions, please do just come and ask. We also usually have one developer. Sorry, I'm also a developer, but another developer in our team there, and then someone who manages our community. So yeah, that's kind of everything. Of course, that's our Twitter, Discord, and Docs. If you have any questions afterwards, please do just come to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions, especially if you want to know more about how Bundle actually works as well. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I definitely think that this is a tool that helps scale the PermaWeb pretty dramatically, as you can see from some of those metrics you had in your presentation. So if you guys want to talk to Josh, you can stay after the presentations are over. And also, you mentioned Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
And perfect. And then maybe you could throw that in the chat or something so people can add that to their calendars.
Yeah, I'll do it. Awesome.
Okay, perfect. So next up, we're going to have Phil from ArDrive, and he's going to talk. Phil has been in the ecosystem for a very long time. One of the earliest projects to be in the Open Web Foundry, and now he's going to go over some updates of what's been going on there. So Phil, if you don't mind, just coming up to one of the microphones here. Perfect.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. Let me share my screen. One second.
Perfect. We can see your presentation.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks again, Jesse. It's great to be here. I think it was OWF4, maybe was the last time I spoke at this. I can't believe you guys are on number 7. And today I'll be, giving some updates on what we're doing at ArDrive and a little bit about our new project, RIO. So let's get into it. My name is Phil Mataris. Founder of ArDrive and RIO. I kind of grew up in enterprise IT, administering and operating environments. Kind of graduated to architecting both cloud and on-prem infrastructures, really with a focus on like identity systems, collaboration, document management systems. And my infrastructure background got me into crypto from kind of the mining perspective, operating nodes, and ultimately that's what got me into ArWeave. Back in 2018, and I've been a community member ever since. I quit my job in the summer of 2020 to found ArDrive. Really thanks to this program, the Open Web Foundry, I think really enables a lot of bright and talented people to take that next step and really commit to something new and help fund that. But yeah, when I quit my job, I had this, this mission, the simple mission in mind. And that was really to get permanent storage into the hands of everybody. And for that to be successful, it really needed to rally both a good core team and a community with the purpose of, supporting, learning, and inspiring one another to build the awareness and really enhance this mission. So we've been on a long journey since that first presentation at that Open Web Incubator. I tried to just summarize some really high-level things, but in the summer 2020 is when this all started. The fall of that year, we completed a very small angel round that helped, fund some of the first development of our ArDrive beta web app. We came out with the first version of the ArWeave file system, which is our data protocol that's behind ArDrive, and we created our profit sharing community and the token that really powers ArDrive and that really governs what we're doing. Later that year and the spring of 2021 is when we released the first version of our ArDrive web app. And then we were able to complete a pre-seed round, which really allowed us to scale out the engineering team, hire some other developers, hire some folks on the marketing side to continue to release features, create some great content about ArDrive. We released our command line interface meant for power users and developers. Later on last year, we started getting involved with other businesses and enterprises, started building partnerships and really helping them onboard into the PermaWeb and using ArDrive. That gave us some momentum and some ideas to venture in some infrastructure and building some new things out from the gateway side, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end. But that facilitated another seed round financing, which again helped us build out the team to take on this new challenge of decentralizing gateways, which is what RIO is, this new project that we're taking on. And it also allowed us to, take management and operations of rweave.net, the community gateway. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So it's been a really long journey. I think in the summer 2020, I don't think my roadmap looked like what I'm seeing here, but it's been very exciting. And it all really comes down to that mission of getting permanent storage into the hands of everyone. So our main product is our web application, and that's an easy to use Dropbox-like app. It's open source. It's mobile friendly as well. No sign up needed. It's got that Web3 login experience. You just bring a wallet. You're bringing your own keys, so to speak. It's intuitive, whether it's uploading, downloading, or sharing your files. Those files can be public forever on the PermaWeb. And we also offer end-to-end encryption for your private files. So nobody other than you or who you share them with will have access to that data. There's no subscriptions or any monthly fees. It's all pay as you go, right? That's the beauty of ArWeave storage, is it's pay once and store forever. And ArDrive in and of itself is community owned and governed via our profit sharing community. ArDrive, we started with this goal of having our web app as our main product, but we quickly saw that we were building more of a platform. Ensure that our web and our upcoming native apps are that easy to use, natural, UI and UX. But now we also have our integration and automation toolkits from our CLI. We also have ArDrive Core, which are backend packages that you could use to plug into your own application that lets you use our data protocol, which is the ArWeave file system, which is really how we model all the data that goes into ArDrive and lets us treat it like a file system. So it gives us the ability to have the privacy and to, let you have files and folders and drives and really emulate what a local file system would do. Of course, underneath that is ArWeave and the ArWeave HTTP protocols and the services offered by the infrastructure that surrounds that. Our command line is also open source and cross-platform. It's all on Node.js. Very easy to script and automate. All the outputs that it produces are a nice JSON objects, so you can manipulate those. Do whatever you have to need. Do whatever you need to with that data after running the commands. All the information is cached locally, so it's really fast to keep listing your drive information or manage your files or folders. It supports some more advanced features like custom manifests. It lets you do really big bulk uploads as well as downloads of your drives. Supports every RFS action under the sun. And there are other network utilities in there as well, like you can create wallets, seed phrases, you can send AR online or offline, check transaction status, check mempool depth, other kinds of utilities like that, which are pretty useful for developers who are trying to interact with the network. Underneath it all, underneath our ArDrive applications is the ArWeave file system, which is this permanent file system protocol that we kind of had to build, right? If ArDrive is this permanent storage platform whose applications and core libraries offer this hierarchical organization and privacy via complete end-to-end encryption and this extensibility, RFS is really what powers all of that. So maybe let's talk about that for a quick view. But RFS really is a data modeling, storage, and retrieval protocol, right? And it's designed to emulate common file system operations to provide those aspects of mutability to your data hierarchy on ArWeave's otherwise, permanent and immutable storage, right? You think about it, if you have a file, you rename it, you move it, you change it. So we wanted to make sure ArDrive could accommodate those kinds of activities. So RFS does support file versioning, renaming, moving, custom metadata. It comes with the ability to have your own, bring your own key, end-to-end encrypted privacy for your files. So whether it's creating the keys used or decrypting that information, all of that is contained in the RFS standard. And the great thing about it is that data is stored on ArWeave, this globally accessible data layer. It can be queried by any other application that is connected into ArWeave via GQL. So, if you kind of put those pieces together, you end up with a file system state, right? RFS does this by defining what's called entities. Each entity has a specific kind of schema or an information architecture. We define some new UUIDs on top of those entities, and then they reference one another. This metadata is split across GQL tags for really easy querying, as well as what we call an encoded JSON file in the RFS metadata transaction. And that's to allow us to encrypt some of that metadata as well for your private files. So, you might not want some of that metadata to be public if it's, sensitive. So what you end up with is files that are transacted through ArDrive end up with one transaction for the data and one for the metadata. And this builds this information architecture where files, folders, and drives all reference one another to ultimately create the state of the drive. I just went through this really, really fast. Next week, we have a deep dive session where I'll get into RFS and get into some more of the details. But ultimately, it can help developers enable a lot of different things, right? Whether it's any kind of file attachment in an app, social app, mail app, anything that needs files that could be referenced from somewhere else on the PermaWeb is a solid use case for connecting with RFS. Because RFS has a really strict data model and information architecture, if you're looking for something that's going to be easy to search and query against and produce some on-chain analytics, RFS is a very good choice for that. Anything involving document or records management systems, again, emulating a file system is what this is trying to do. So there could be lots of ideas out there to build great content management platforms on ArWeave. We could go through all of these things next week as well at the deep dive. This is something that's really exciting for me, is to really see what teams and people build with ArDrive. And around RFS and around the ArDrive platform is the community. And that's really where you get to our profit sharing token. So we were one of the first teams to build this, back when we started, and we really started with a couple key utilities. So one is, any data that's uploaded through ArDrive, we add an additional community tip to it, and that is split between our profit sharing community members. And then the second utility of the token is you can use it to stake and govern and vote for things that happen in the ArDrive community, like creating new tokens, changing fees, etc. In the future, we want to use this to maybe spend on new in-application features or stake for certain levels of access in the app. We're still trying to experiment with a few different ideas. Lots of latest releases in the web app. You could follow us on Twitter to see, some of our videos and other content that we produce around, things like releases. Just to name a few, we vastly increased the speed of uploads over the past few weeks. We introduced the ability to create ArWeave manifests in the web app. We just released image previews, so you can see your public and private files. Right in the web app, you don't have to download them or go to another page. We're trying to ensure anyone around the world can use ArDrive. Part of that is making sure our educational content and information in our public site and our web app is translated. So we've been focusing on that as well. And yeah, lots of things to come in the pipeline. Definitely recommend joining our Discord to learn more about upcoming releases. Another thing that we also released earlier this year is called ArDrive LA, which is really just another attempt to make it easy to get your permanent data on ArDrive. And it's really a white glove service where we work with you and your custom needs and help you upload your data or guide your project when it comes to integrating with ArDrive and ArWeave. So far, we've had customers ranging from NFT artists, metaverse creators, website builders, and ultimately, we always want users to use our products or learn from our information that we publish. But we are still here to help whenever we can. Another thing that we just released is the Inferno, which is our usage mining program. It's about 40 weeks long. It's our way of trying to gamify and reward users who upload data to ArDrive. So yeah, if you upload at least 1 gigabyte, you have a chance to be rewarded at the end of the week. So maybe just to flip in and talk about ArWeave gateways and some of the work we're doing there. But just to really point out what the gateway is, but it's kind of this front door to the PermaWeb. And it's really how apps are getting access to the data that's been uploaded to ArWeave. But there's some challenges with gateways right now. It's really hard to operate one. It's pretty complicated. There's really no incentive for anyone to operate a gateway and provide this access to the PermaWeb or provide the index that a lot of applications like ArDrive rely on. And there's no way to pay for this kind of service either. Figure right now gateways are entirely free and subsidized, but if there were a future where there's some incentives involved, there would need to be a way to pay for those things. So we saw this as an opportunity for us to, get involved with building some infrastructure on ArWeave. And I wanted to introduce RIO, which is the new incentivized and decentralized gateway to the PermaWeb. It's going to be an open source protocol and service stack. So it's not just going to be a set of code to run. There's going to be documentation to help you install it and set it up. We're aiming for it to be able to be deployed either in the biggest, most scalable cloud or in a server in your garage for smaller use cases. And it's planned to have those incentives that are currently missing from the gateway. So to be clear, that's data seeding, right? Data caching and serving, indexing, as well as node API access for things like wallet balances, price discovery, things like that. And we want to make sure that with this gateway network, users and apps are going to have a choice in what price or quality of service gateway they want to use. And we're going to be building a tokenized network that's going to punish the operators of these gateways who misbehave and don't live up to those service level agreements that they're going to be listing out to those users. So some interesting dynamics that we're trying to build in there. And then gateways are going to, or gateway operators are basically going to be able to bring their own business model. So whether or not they want it to be free or sponsored or subsidized will be up to that operator. And again, we want to make sure that if services are paid for, it's got to be really easy. We don't want to introduce even more friction when it comes to paying for something like this. Finally, one of the things that the team has been really hard at work at is looking at arweave.net. It is the current community gateway right now. We've been hard at work wrapping our hands around it and trying to understand all the ins and outs. We have been able to make some improvements, whether it's been unpacking bundles faster, open sourcing all of the arweave.net gateway code, improving some reliability and caching and GQL. We introduced a new web app firewall to stop some of the potential DDoS attacks that could be happening, and lots of other improvements that we plan on making, whether that's supporting even larger bundles. GQL still isn't perfect. There's still some queries that don't quite work out. And of course, we want to make sure there's no performance degradation during the real peak congestion times of the network. So lots that we can cover with the gateway, whether it's arweave.net or RIO. So again, please join our session next week and we can get into some of that. I just want to give a shout out to my team, right? I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this team behind me. We're still looking for developers and DevOps engineers if anyone is interested in a career at ArDrive and RIO, so check out our website. More information can be found in our knowledge base or our GitHub. Again, all of our code is open source, so feel free to take a look. And yeah, thank you, everyone. I know I was on for a bit, a lot of slides to cover. I'll certainly make this presentation available afterwards. And yeah, just reach out to me if you have any questions, ideas, or feedback. Thanks.
Thanks, Phil. That team, the size of that team is crazy. It's crazy to see how far this project has come from just starting off as a permanent Dropbox application. So really excited to see, what else is going to happen in the ecosystem and how this progresses.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay, and then next up, we have two more presenters. So next up, we'll have Tate. And Tate is working with Theta, and they're producing quite a few different applications within the ArWeave ecosystem. And I believe you're going to be talking about both Verto and ArConnect for us.
That is correct. Yeah, thanks, Jesse. Appreciate it. So sharing my screen now. Let me know if you guys can see this.
Yep, looks good.
Okay, awesome. And before I get started, number one, thank you all for the opportunity to present. And number two, man, the presentation quality, this is insane. You guys have done really, really well on all of these presentations. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but these look really good. So kudos, guys. Anyways, so today, my name's Tate Berenbaum, and I'm here to present Verto and ArConnect, which are two projects that that we've been working on for a little while now. But to get started, a little bit about me. So I've been an Arweaver since late 2019. I discovered Arweave by clicking on a Brave ad that was talking about permanent storage, and it was just fascinating. And I've sort of been inside of the community ever since. Just, you know, it's very grassroots, family-like. And also, I became a founder in mid 2020, around the time that I think Phil did as well from ArDrive. So yeah, and then I also like to ski, so that's me and my dad. Anyways, our team. So we were also established in mid 2020. We're now about 15 people around the world working on a few different projects. The picture here is myself, Martin, and Andres. Martin is the founder of ArConnect, and Andres is the founder of 3EM. So they're all working on the team as well now. Now, to talk a little bit about Verdo. So Verdo, we actually just launched Verdo into testnet like an hour ago. So very fresh. It's a decentralized trading protocol that with the intention of enabling users to trustlessly make swaps between any assets that are native to Arweave. So anything that you can tokenize with a SmartWeave contract can plug into Verdo and be exchanged. And so again, that actually just relaunched today into testnet. And I'll talk a little bit more about testnet shortly, but you can actually try that out if you go to verdo.exchange now. So as a developer, and fellow builder, what we've done is we've tried to make things as easy as possible for other people to integrate into their own projects. So you can see our contracts on this GitHub link if you're curious in understanding how we actually wrote a SmartWeave contract that was capable of exchanging assets. We're going to be putting out some Twitter threads about this as well. So you can find us on @verdo.exchange, or sorry, @verdoexchange too. And then also our interface is there, and we're working on a new JavaScript library, which will enable people to make a trade on Verdo inside of their own application with only 3 lines of code. So that's a little bit about Verdo, just to get started here. The second product that our team works on is called ArConnect, and ArConnect is sort of a MetaMask for Arweave. It's one of the ways that that users can now safely interact with any application on the PermaWeb that is integrated. And it's actually very easy to integrate into your own application too. If you already have Arweave.js inside of your project as a dependency, you can just change a setting there to enable it to work with ArConnect automatically. And so the screenshot to the right is what the interface looks like. This actually we're going to be pushing this out over the next couple weeks, which we're really excited about. It's a new version of the interface. But if you're interested in learning how to integrate ArConnect, feel free to head over to arconnect.io. And then also our GitHub is on the slide as well if you're interested in understanding more about the code base there. And then finally, arweave.run is a test gateway that we set up, and it's not a production ready like Arweave gateway. It's actually using an RLocal instance that our local was created by Cedric from Textury. And so what we've done is we've effectively spun up our own instance of RLocal and exposed it to this domain so that anyone can try uploading transactions or interacting with Verdo or any of our other products in a testnet environment. So you don't have to worry about accidentally pushing something to the PermaWeb if you don't want to. And it's actually very easy to integrate. You can just, in your Arweave.js instance, when you initialize that, you can just switch those variables out with arweave.run as opposed to arweave.net. And ArConnect actually enables you to switch the gateway as well. So developers are able to configure the gateway automatically for you, depending on how, if they're in testnet or mainnet or would prefer to use a different gateway. So that's a little bit about arweave.run. I think the most important thing for me to say here is that we're here for you. Our team exists for the purpose of making it as easy as possible for people to build inside of the ArWeave ecosystem and use PermaWeb applications. So if you have any questions or want to talk about anything, we're totally open to it and happy to help. We're here for you. Yeah. So thank you. I know this was short, but those are some ways to get in touch with me. And also, if you're interested in joining our Discord, just go to verto.exchange/chat. And yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to present.
Amazing. Thank you, Tate. And yes, I second that. If you guys have any questions, we're here for you. Tate's been in the ecosystem for a really long time, has a lot of knowledge about the space. So if you guys, have anything, join us in the mingle session after our final presenter, which is going to be Jakob. So thank you, Tate. And yeah, next up, like as I said, we have Jakob, who's our last presenter, and he's going to be telling us a little bit more about Redstone, which of course is a really important project within the ecosystem. Yeah, take it away, Jakob. We can see your screen.
Awesome. So thanks for having me. Thank you for the invitation, Jesse. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Like I started working on Redstone 2 years ago. I was exactly in your shoes, joining the very first batch of incubator together with a few guys that were presenting today. I'm really blown away by their progress. And Redstone started from an idea to put all of the data feeds, especially the price feeds for different assets that were powering DeFi on the PermaWeb. So it's like more decentralized, open, and much cheaper than putting information directly to chains like Ethereum. And we started from proof of concept, and at the moment we are getting closer to storing around 3 billion data points. Actually, we should work harder because I was hoping to reach that milestone for the presentation, but we are almost there. And we cover around 1,000 assets, joining more than 60 sources. So let me give you an overview of how the app looks like. You can simply check a price of a token. Let's, for example, take our price. You can check prices from different data providers. You can also integrate with some code snippets. And recently, we added a really cool feature for one of the hackathons that is running in parallel, Hack Money Hackathon, when you can quite easily define your custom data stream, simply providing an URL and a JSON path. So let me take an example of a lightweight oracles that is providing you temperature in New York. So let me go test the query. You can also see the final answer. And after defining this lightweight oracle, it automatically parses the data into PermaWeb, and you can see the full history. So that was the temperature in New York for the last week. And we are also like quite surprised with the different use cases that people are trying to code for that hackathon. One is really like peculiar. For example, there's an DeFi protocol that is trying to provide decentralized life insurance, and they integrate it with a fancy endpoint that will give you an answer whether certain person is dead or alive, which is quite scary, but also shows like the possibilities are limitless. And working on the oracles and the data processing contracts, we prepare a set of tools that can make your life much easier if you are developing on ArWeave. And recently, we've been thinking about putting all of them together and trying to put them into one umbrella brand that we called Warp, which try to communicate the speed at which you can execute smart Weave contracts using the tools. And also it got a nice feature of having R in the middle of the name, which is kind of a standard in the ecosystem. So that's a sneak peek into our new website that will be released next week. So what we do, we focus on the speed of transactions. So let me try to create a transaction. So I just minted a token, and the transaction was already processed. And we also supply a nice tool to explore all of the transactions in the SmartWeave space. So you can see the interaction tags, you can see the input value, you can see contract ID. When you click on that, you can see all of the transactions that were processed in the contract. You can browse the code. You can query the evaluated state with all of the balances. And thanks to the bundler integration, everything's happening almost in the real time. So that's a very useful tool if you are developing smart contract, to have an ability to monitor the execution, to browse the code, to check the results of transaction evaluation, etc. Maybe let's give it a try if there's any. No, all of the transactions are valid. And to show you the architecture, how it works behind the scene. So when we receive the transaction, we create an ordering using our sequencer. Then transaction is sent to bundler for the instant finality guarantee, also seeded to ArDrive network. Then we develop a dedicated gateway focused on SmartWeave transactions that will make it much faster to index and query transaction for a specific contract. And also we get the SDK that allows you to evaluate smart contracts. And recently we create something that we call this decentralized execution network, when there are plenty of nodes trying to simultaneously evaluate your smart contracts and providing you much faster state results. And then the final state of the contract could be easily queried. And for example, seen in our Sonar browser. We also work hard to making the smart contracts much more secure and easier to develop. Therefore, we created a WASP execution environment. And right now you can code in assembly script, which is probably the easiest if you're switching from a JavaScript background, or use Rust, which is probably the most stable and secure environment for writing contract, or you can implement your contract in Go. We also create a set of resources that will make the development of smart contract much easier for you. So I've just shown you Sonar, which is this smart contract explorer. We also created a dedicated test network. So if you do not want to pay any transaction fees, or would like to simply play with your newly created contracts, you can deploy them on our testnet, which is publicly available, fully persistent, also indexed by our application. So for example, that's the test network, which gets plenty of blocks and a lot of contracts in that. And we created also project templates, which are code templates written in different languages that will make starting your own smart contract project much easier. We provide some scaffolding for the new smart contract project, together with information how to test, deploy, and add, and interact with the contracts. Also, we created something called Redstone Academy, which is a set of resources explaining how to take your first steps into this space, what are the basic content, concept into ArDrive ecosystem, but also we get a set of interactive tutorials when you can quite easily create your own PST tokens. We explain how to prepare the state, how to write tests on different networks, like a local environment, public testnet, even mainnet, how to deploy your contract, how to connect everything of that to a front end, etc. Could be a really useful tool if you are just starting with SmartWeave and smart contract development. And also we enhance the basics SmartWeave model, adding a few really interesting features. For example, one of the most wanted features from the feedback we heard was the cross-contract communication, which was really awkward in Camberstone with the original SmartWeave. Therefore, we added a special way to easily invoke external contract within a contract without any additional links, connections, proxy contract, etc. You just write a single line of code, and we take care of connecting one contract into another. So that looks really easy, but it was like really an incredible amount of work done one of our developers. We also added an ability to bundle your transaction for faster processing, but we also allow you to bundle smart contract deployments, so you can deploy your contract within a second. And that's really cool and recent that we recently added an ability to generate randomness in SmartWeave contracts in a way that is really secure and verifiable. And in our view, really easy to use. So you simply add an additional tag to your SmartWeave transaction, VRF, which stands for verifiable randomness. And then you can verify the answer that the randomness provider is giving to you. And within a smart contract, you can quite easily generate random numbers based on the received randomness. So for example, if you're generating an NFT, you can easily access all of that. As a big step forward, because before that, projects were mostly using hashes of a block number, which obviously could be manipulated by miners, or was just using a plain randomness, which is obviously not deterministic. So we believe we use the most advanced methodology to provide randomness to blockchains, and it's integrated in a SmartWeave right now. And obviously we are in Web3, so you shouldn't trust everything I'm telling you. You should always do your own research, verify, and that's why we are putting the testimonials of all the projects that are using our solutions, and you can reach out to them, ask about the experience, etc. Obviously, we are fully open source, we are available on Discord, and our vision is to help other projects that use our tools to build the solution. So if you are wondering about which kind of a design for your smart contract infrastructure you would like to use, how to separate different contracts, how to organize them, we'll be happy to have a conversation, help you to design the system, help you to implement, review the code, etc. You can find us on the Discord. That is on our website. And yeah, I think that's all. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak there, and happy coding on ArDrive. Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Jakob. Yes, another project with a ton of new developments. Very excited to see Warp. Perfect. Okay, so that's everything for now. Right now, we're going to have the mingle session. So I think we'll spread across some of the tables on the outside there. So if you guys have any questions, like this is your opportunity. We've got all the really important, not all of them, but some of the really important ArDrive ecosystem founders here. So this is a good opportunity to learn a bit more. So I'll see you guys out there. See ya.